So, we're trying to find A through H for this quadratic. Guys, shh. Thank you for your attention since we have a quiz in just moments. All right, so you need to answer A through H. Some of these are super easy. So let's go ahead and A is my vertex. I don't know that yet. B is my axis of symmetry. I will know that once I find the vertex. C is the first one that I can do without really thinking about things. Is this going to be up or down? Up, because A is positive. Okay? So there is my... so my vertex, will it be a max or a min? Min, because it is the lowest point on this entire graph. And then E is the range, which is always the same thing.
X equals real.
X equals all reals, yes. F is the range, which I'll come back to because that requires a little bit of math. G is my y-intercept, which is very easy to find. Yes, because all I do is plug in 0 for x into my equation, see what comes out. And it comes out with an 8. H is a bunch of work. Okay, so now I'm ready to go back and find my vertex. So, negative b over 2a, negative 10 over 2 times 2 is 4. I kept having 5 in my head, and I'm like, how... I don't know, whatever. Okay, so that gets me a negative 5 halves or negative 2.5. That's the x coordinate, right? I now need to find the y coordinate. So I need to take negative 2.5 and plug it back in. Yeah.
You probably answered this before, but is it okay if it's in fraction form?
Yes, you can leave it as a fraction, you can leave it as a decimal. Either one is totally fine. So if I'm you and I have access to a calculator, I'm not going to do all this math out. I'm going to ask Mr. Calculator to do it for me because it's way easier. But you need to make sure that you know how to put it in correctly. So I want to do 2 times. Now, I want to put either a fraction or a decimal. It doesn't matter. It's a good idea to put in parentheses negative 2.5. If you left it as a fraction, you would just type it in as negative 5 halves. 5 divided by 2. That's it. And then close that parenthesis. I need to square that value. So, if you left it in fraction form, that's what the first little piece should be. The calculator can do all of it at once, though, so I'll just keep going. Plus 10 times negative 2.5 plus 8. I get negative 4.5.
And what would that be? Wait.
That's the y coordinate of the vertex.
I messed up there. I got 38. That's so much.
Wait, so to divide a decimal, you would just, the fraction, you would do the
That's-
divided, the top divided by the bottom.
Yes, that's all a fraction is. Doesn't that mean negative 5 divided by 2? That's all it is.
Wait. Should I calculate it again?
I just showed that's how you would do it as a fraction, and then here I just...
Why'd you put a negative 2
Because you did negative, it's 10 times negative 2.5.
What about the plus 8?
It's there, it's just off the screen, so it's over there, right? Because it got too long, so I don't know how to...
I got the second half of there.
I don't know how I can make it move over. That's why I got to do everything on a graphing calculator, because it shows you everything all at once.
Where's your graphing stand?
Yes, let me... This is much better. Okay, so I would do 2 times negative 2.5 squared plus 10 times negative 2.5 plus 8. So there's everything all at once on the graphing calculator. There you go, a negative 4.5. So again, if you are doing it as a fraction, it's the same thing. You would just do negative 5 halves. And 5 halves is just 5 divided by 2 squared plus 10 times negative 5 halves plus 8. Same thing. Either way, doesn't matter. There you have it. So that, once you plug that in, that gets you the y coordinate of your vertex. Okay? So now I have the axis of symmetry. It's just x equals what?
2.5.
Negative 2.5. The range is going to be y is greater than or equal to whatever the y coordinate is, negative 4.5. And then the only thing left to do is to find the x-intercepts, which requires you to do a little bit of math. So you need to replace y with 0. You get 2x squared plus 10x plus 8. This is a quadratic and it's an equation now, so let's divide both sides by 2 and make our numbers easier. You don't have to do that, but why wouldn't you?
Get it? Why wouldn't you?
Eh. Then I need factors of 4 that adds to be 5. There just so happens to be 4 and 1. So now I know my two answers are negative 4 and negative 1. So on your answer line, this is a big deal too. On your answer line for letter H, you're going to write just like this. Here's what you can't do. If you put negative 4, comma 1 in parentheses, like how you wrote the vertex up here, I'm going to get really irritated. I'm going to take off some points. I don't know how many yet. But you can't.
If you what?
Yeah. No, yeah, that doesn't matter. When you write it like this, remember what this means, the funny brackets. That's saying, hey, here's just a list of all my answers,
Not.
right? If you have 2 pets and I say, hey, what are your pets' names? It doesn't matter what order you give them to me, and you're just going to list off your pets' names, right? Same thing here. You're just listing, here's all the places that my graph crosses the x-axis. If you put smooth parentheses around them, now you're saying that's a coordinate, negative 4 comma negative 1 on the coordinate plane. That's not what you mean at all. That's not even on the x-axis. So that's a big, big mistake. You cannot put smooth parentheses there. I'd rather you write nothing at all. If you just write negative 4, negative 1 without the parentheses, that's better than putting smooth parentheses around them. This is how you should do it with the squiggles. Yeah. So fast. Okay. Are we ready now?
I thought we did one more.
No, we're waste of time.
One more. Just one more.
Can we just take the? Oh my God, this is ridiculous.
Actually, kind of.
Fine. Bill, it's not my fault. Take it.
I think you've been outvoted. All right.
I've not. Caleb said he wants to do another two.
Well, I've
does
already.
Abby. So does Hannah, and so does.
Never said that.
Raise your hand if you want one more.
I guess
1,
I'll
2,
do- I guess I'll do-
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, one more.
What? So who
Just
else
wait
am I
one
gonna
more
do?
minute. Keep
So who
doing
else
your
am I gonna
highlighting. All right. One more. Whoa. Hannah.